Everybody, listen carefully.
You're listening to the SEC Insider Hit on the Bolt Bound Show.
Fueled by Fleetway Market.
Fuel up your car and cooler at Fleetway this football season.
Let's go.
Good morning. Welcome into you, and thanks for hanging out with us on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Man, it's awesome. Football season, the weather's changing a little bit. Not quite like I want to, but it's not terrible at all. It's not as bad as it was, so maybe it'll continue to trend the right way, and we'll have an amazing fall and a mild winter. And anyway, all right, so the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We think we've got a big one in Tuscaloosa this weekend with Ole Miss and Bama because Bama's, one, their offensive line is not good. And they played, kind of footsie and merry-go-round with the quarterback position. Thought Nick Saban and Tommy Rees did an absolute and total disservice to their football team, not playing Jalen Milroe last weekend against South Florida. And playing, you can play Tyler Buckner and Ty Simpson and still play a young man that needs reps, but instead they played him the whole game and kind of a waste of time. So they, Jalen Milroe comes into the game without playing last weekend. Will he be rusty? He hadn't played that much anyway, but he's the most talented quarterback that they have, and they didn't have to do that whole dog and pony show down in South Florida and Tampa to figure that out. Maybe they needed to keep some parents, or I guess they got maybe so much NIL money and Simpson, recruiting / NIL money, and
right.
I don't know what they offered Buckner. But the bottom line is Jalen Milroe is the best quarterback for Alabama, and right now Jackson Dart is playing really well for Ole Miss. He'll need to have a kind of Herculean type game. Even though Bama's not near as good, he'll still need to be a big time playmaker on Saturday, to win, to beat Bama. It looks like it's doable, but Ole Miss really hasn't shown me a lot in the trenches either. So I'm not sure either team is that impressive. And I don't know if the Ole Miss offensive line doesn't look that good, and I haven't really identified an edge rusher from them either. Now, I will say the Alabama offensive tackles are both over 360 pounds, and it doesn't look like to me they can move.
But, it's pretty crazy that South Florida got 5 sacks on Alabama.
And you look at all the hurries and sacks that Texas got.
Yeah.
And we didn't go into the season saying that Texas had the number 1 or 2 or 3 defensive line in the country by any stretch, or 4 or 5 or 6. So You're exactly right. The Alabama Crimson Tide O-line has given up sacks and pressures left and right. The question is, can Ole Miss take advantage of that? Can Ole Miss take advantage of this offensive line where it doesn't look like either tackle can move? Now, how will Tommy Rees call the game? Will he call the game like Tyler Buckner, a pocket passer, is playing the game, or will he call it like Jalen Milroe needs it to be called, and that is, QB runs, RPOs, and things, zone reads, things that Jalen Rose, that would be basketball, Bo, Milroe does and does well. So the SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Muskelly Furniture and Muskelly Sleep Stores, and the Purple Mattress, the one and only Purple Grid, groundbreaking, no-pressure gel technology, is the star of every Purple mattress. The Purple Mattress from any of the Muskelly Sleep Stores. Try one out today. We've been sleeping on ours for 2 years. Absolutely love it. The Purple Mattress from any of the Muskelly Sleep Stores. You'll love the Purple Grid. All right, Jason cooked catfish last night. I had an amazing steak dinner with all of our Patron friends, and then we went to Highball and the Tiki Bar And I didn't know Tuesday night was this big bowling night. So I saw all these people that I grew up with a million years ago in Belhaven. And I wasn't thinking about it. I get to Highball, and they've got this beautiful setup. I mean, Patron, stuff everywhere. It's an El Cielo party, super, super premium tequila that Patron is rolling out. And so it's a launch party. And we decided to do it at one of our partners, Highball Lanes, the Tiki Bar, the station in Jackson, all that. And it was well done. Well, I'm walking down by the bowling alley, and, it's a really swanky, kind of Ritz-Carlton-like 10 bowling lanes. Very, very nice and well done, what the city needed. I'm going to the restroom, and I hear, "Hey, Bo." And this group of guys that I grew up with have a bowling league every Tuesday night, have a bowling game with their wives and so on. And, I mean, there's got to be 15 couples.
Wow, that's how I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be bowling on a Tuesday night.
And one of the leagues had Big Lebowski shirts.
Ooh.
And another one called they had the name of their bowling was Whataburger, and it looked like Whataburger shirts.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm liking this.
And they said they had all these themes. It was hilarious. I was laughing, and I was glad that we set the party up in the Tiki Bar, because I had been in the Tiki Bar, but I hadn't been in a party. So if you've got a business, you want to entertain your employees because they've kicked tail for you the last 9 months this year, or 10. And you want to do some bowling. It gives you a little bit of the bar's beautiful. So you get like several things to do all in one place. And I was glad that Patron set everything up in the Tiki Bar. But now we had a group that had 2 bowling lanes. They were having a large time. Very well done. It's all in Fondren. Highball in Fondren, Tiki Bar in Fondren. They've got full menu lunch and dinner. And then they just opened the station in Jackson. And they're doing those wood-fired pizzas and all. They got a green space out there. There were a bunch of really pretty couples that were out there with kids. And that's what you want. That's what we need, Jackson to offer. So I had an absolute blast. The Patron El Cielo launch party was awesome. Had people in from Louisiana, Alabama, Atlanta. And y'all know, if you follow Patron on Instagram, I mean, it's got a lot of sizzle, a lot of pretty people. And they know how to do it. And they've got a super cool brand and super premium tequila. So we had a wonderful time. And thank you for the invite, Patron, because I didn't have to pay for anything except the Uber home. And
let's go.
Yeah. So that was very kind of them. And like I told you, I stumbled across the El Cielo Patron will hit the market in October, but I already have a bottle in my bar, and it's delicious with an orange. So
Wow.
is the Patron Extra Añejo if you're looking for something really, really high-end premium.
Okay.
Extra Añejo is Patron, and then El Cielo.
That's the one that's good with a cigar, right?
Sky Heaven, El Cielo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. They did a PowerPoint, and at dinner, it wasn't long, but it was very well done. And I got to see the trends of things that are happening around the country. It was really cool. So that was awesome. All right. You cooked catfish. I had a big Patron El Cielo launch party, which look for that bottle in October. And now let's talk college football. So I can tell by our numbers this week that the Will Rogers, Mike Wright discussion, and people think we're pitting them against each other. Nothing could be further from the truth. If that's what you've taken away from any of my monologues or me pontificating, then that's not what I'm saying. So we are the Out of Bounds Show. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. This is 105.9 The Zone ESPN. Let me say this. Playing Mike Wright makes Will Rogers better. That's why he should have played more on Saturday. Should have played more against Arizona and should have played more against Southeast Louisiana. However, so, you've wasted some time. He needed another, I'll go low, 20 reps under his belt in those 3 games. But, and look, he could get thrown into the mix, and I fully expect to hear from you on Twitter. because it's almost like you'll be rooting against him. He could play on Saturday at South Carolina without playing much at all this year and look terrible. It wouldn't be different than what you saw last week with any of the other players, not just Will. But, yeah, I mean, and guess what? Mike could fumble, just like NFL players do. He could throw picks, just like Josh Allen, or whatever. But he needs to play. He should have already played more. He needs to play more. And playing Mike right will make Will Rogers a better player. And also, knowing that it may not just be totally yours, although Will's still the starter. You need to know somebody may be hunting your job. That's okay.
Competition,
Will's not. Other teams around the SEC make changes all the time. Alabama's done it several times. Ole Miss has done it. LSU's done it. All of a sudden, there's this theory that, Mississippi State can't do this. Well, first of all, you got to put your team in the best position to get first downs.
Definitely.
Then you got to put your team in the best position to get as many red zone opportunities as they can.
Yep.
And then you got to put your team in position to put as many points on the board as you can. This may be a low-scoring game. I don't know. I mean, I understand the defenses aren't any good. I've looked at those numbers. They're bad. And Jaden DeLora and Jaden Daniels just had two really good games against the Mississippi State defense. Spencer Rattler just went 16 of 18 in the first half against the Georgia Bulldogs. And he's got a lot of mobility and athleticism. So I really don't know what to tell you. I mean, neither team is good. Do they have some athletes? Sure. But neither team is good. And I'm not saying Ole Miss is good. They haven't proven that to me. I mean, playing Cupcake U doesn't impress me. It may impress the Clarion Ledger. It has evidently for 70 years. But I look at things through a very realistic lens. Neither team has impressed me this year. But you got a couple of weeks to figure out who you are. You have athletes. You have some good coaches. And I think really, for the most part, 95% of our teams, Jason, have 2 weeks to kind of get it figured out. I do agree that you kind of know who you are at the end of September. So you got 2 more weeks. Figure out who you are. I will say Jackson Dart may be playing the best. Now, again, Salami Tech.
I knew that was coming.
State.
I knew that was coming.
And bread pudding school of dentistry. But Dart has played. Rattler's played pretty good too. And Jaden, I mean, obviously, Jaden Daniels has played well. Now, Dart and Daniels have the leg up because Spencer Rattler doesn't have a good offensive coordinator.
Or an offensive line.
And I'm not sure Dart does either. He's been running for his life. He's just made things happen against less inferior competition, which he's very, very athletic and he's a good player. We know that Lane is a top 1% offensive coordinator, and we know that LSU has top 1% talent. Spencer Rattler doesn't have either one of those. Do y'all see where I'm going there? There's still a lot of ball to be played. Milroe can be a playmaker. We'll see what happens out at A&M this weekend with Connor Wigman. Still, the jury's still out there. And Freeze is still tinkering. Isn't he? I mean, don't you kind of get that feeling?
Yeah, I mean...
I don't blame him. It's year one.
Yeah, you got to give him at least 1 year to get started.
Well, then you need to give Zach Arnett 1 year. You just walked into that, and thank you for doing that.
Well, I mean, that's not
Mississippi State fans need to give Zach Arnett a year to get acclimated, because Hugh Freeze has 20-something years of head coaching experience under his belt, and it's going to be an acclimation process, right?
Right.
It's going to be some time, because they have it. I mean, they came out of the gate looking real good, and then didn't look good against Cal, and actually didn't look as good as they could have even last weekend. So you're going to have to give Zach Arnett some time to figure this thing out.
But I mean, it's easier for people to be more patient with Hugh because they've seen what he can do. It's still up in the air what Zach Arnett can do. So that's
still you got to give a guy. What happened last December is not Zach Arnett's fault.
No, not at all.
It's not Will Rogers' fault. It's not Will Rogers' fault that that he can't run the air raid anymore, right? That Mississippi State has nobody can run the air raid, right? The man who ran the air raid's no longer with us, unfortunately. So, Jason, my point is, it's not what's happening is not all Will Rogers' fault. It's not all Zach Arnett's fault, and it's damn sure not all Kevin Barbay's fault because they had nothing to do with what happened last December. Life happened, unfortunately, right? With the passing of Mike Leach.
Yeah.
But Mike Wright will make Will Rogers better. Especially, and if Mike Wright is productive, he definitely makes Will Rogers better. So I'd like to hear from you. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. I want to thank you for going to Apple Podcast and Spotify and searching Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. I'm going to challenge you this morning if you want a free night to the Golden Moon Casino or Golden Moon Hotel and 2 rounds of golf to Dancing Rabbit Golf Club.
Ooh.
You need to show us that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Search Out of Bounds Sports. That's how you enter. And you could win. Just send it to us via the text line. 601-885-3776. Let me give that one more time. The Out of Bounds text line is 601-885-3776. And it's driven by your next John Deere tractor to manage your 50 to 100 acres. Brought to you by Ag Up Equipment. That's where you go to get your John Deere tractor. Ag Up Equipment, agup.com. John Deere, America's tractor. So we're going to give away a night at the Golden Moon and 2 rounds of golf to Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. Just show us that you've subscribed to our YouTube channel. Search Out of Bounds Sports. Woo! I feel like that was a lot. Can I go home now? Oh, no, I got to do an interview at 8:30.
Yeah.
Wes Mitchell, South Carolina Gamecock Insider at 8:30. And Josh Raggio. How do I want to? Renaissance man, world famous duck call maker to the gods, to the celebrities, and Raggio Mercantile Shop in Raymond. Josh Raggio will join us in studio at 9:30. He said he's going to bring a couple items to kind of, showcase for fall and Christmas. And I mean, this is his time of year. Bow season starts October 1.
Of course. It's about to
I think it's October 1. And then duck season is Thanksgiving. So game on. You can follow Raggio Mercantile Shop on Instagram. Raggio Mercantile. And they throw up some really, really good pictures. He's a photographer. And see, that's why he's a Renaissance man.
Just doing everything.
He's a famous duck call maker. He owns a really groovy, cool, high-end mercantile shop in Raymond, and he's a photographer.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. Actually, how you do it is you go to work for, like, Playboy.
Okay.
You become a photographer.
Well, that's a different say.
SI swimsuit issue.
Okay.
You see those videos.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Now, that's a gig. Travel all over the world to the exotic beaches.
Yeah.
And take pictures.
I mean, people talk about being GAs for like football teams. What about
that doesn't
volleyball?
Sound awesome.
What about volleyball teams?
Whoa.
Like,
all right. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app and thezone1059.com. And that's my thoughts on Mike Wright and Will Rogers. You can love it, hate it, or anything in between. But Mike Wright should have already played more, which I don't understand. But he needs to play more going forward because he makes Will Rogers better. And they need to play off, here's an idea, each other. So, Mike, if Mike had another 5 possessions under his belt, he could have had some bad possessions and flushed some things. But instead now he really hasn't played. But I tell you what did he rip off a 62-yard run?
I thought
in
it
the
was
first game?
70.
Or an 80?
I thought it was like 75, 76.
Okay. He's a fast dude. He's your biggest playmaker on the offensive side of the football right now. I mean, could argue Tulu, but you're probably not getting him the ball quite as much as you would like. But he can make Tulu better. He can make your offensive line better that looks average. I think Will Friend, the offensive line coach, who is very good, I think Friend probably is going to settle on a group, and that could make him a little bit better. But you are what you are, and it's like Ole Miss. Ole Miss's offensive line, so I think Jackson Dart's mobility has made them look a little bit better. You see where I'm going there, Jason?
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe's mobility made the Alabama offensive line look a little bit better against Texas, even though they were getting dominated. I hope people understand what I'm saying there. The day and age of the table being set, and it looks to me like defensive lines at the college and NFL level are better right now in the game. So you got to figure out a way to move a quarterback around. It is what it is. There's more athleticism. They're better. They look deeper. What we're doing with the edge rush, even though the game is called in favor of the offense, modern day football, defensive lines are better in college and NFL right now, in my opinion, which means you got to move some things around to help those dudes out.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why Mike Wright can make the line better. He can make Will better. He can make Tulu better. He can make Xavier. Now, Dart's already made the Ole Miss offensive line because he's got mobility. The Ole Miss offensive line look better. He's made Watkins better. He's made Wade better. And he's made who's the dude behind Judkins? I just said his name.
Oh, Bentley.
Thank you. I like that name, by the way. He's made Bentley better because of his mobility, athleticism, and ability to keep the play alive. So you got to throw Mike Wright in to be able to do that some, and then you got to throw Will in to be able to connect on certain passes. Barbay's smart. Arnett's smart. They should be able to figure it out.
Yeah,
all right.
We got about a minute, but I did want to – people on the text line, a couple people keep asking how, and I know you just helped describe it, but how playing Mike Wright will make Will Rogers better. If you could just if you have a 30-second answer. I know you pretty much just gave a whole rundown.
Well, because Mike Wright is a dual threat quarterback, which means he puts pressure on the defense in a different way than Will Rogers does. And you can call different plays with Mike Wright, which then in turn, when you put Will Rogers in, the defense is like, all right, we've been set up to defend this. Now we got Will in, or vice versa. That's not hard to figure out. The Out of Bounds Show is driven by your next Nissan Pathfinder and Nissan Rogue at Cannon Nissan in Jackson. Whoa, Cannon Nissan in Jackson. We're live in the BankPlus Studio. Jason's trying to become a chef. He made fried catfish and hush puppies last night. I love good fried cat. We have it at our tailgate. I don't know where I think they order it from WTF, but it may have been from Obie's. It was really good. Show is also brought to you by your next Easy Go golf cart. From Ben Nelson Golf and Outdoors in Madison County, Memphis, and on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show.